There exists in our world a sentence that will get you fired forever from everything. There exists phrases and utterances that cannot be spoken. Now, sometimes they're different on different platforms, but on this platform, I cannot read the title of this article by the Star. I cannot read what the CDC director said on August 5th, 2021. Or it was probably August 6th, but there are ideas, there are questions that you cannot ask. And when a prominent individual in the Biden administration says them, she is not punished publicly, but internally she was harassed, for sure. And the reason I know that is she is now talking about how kids need to wear masks even after they get vaccinated. So if the FDA approves the vaccination for children, this CDC director that said this, she's now saying that they will still need to wear masks even if they are vaccinated. She says, as we head into these winter months, we cannot be complacent. Now, I personally think that her idea spoken in this is kind of in harmony with this. So it makes sense from a scientific perspective to say this. However, it is purely political because this is being celebrated by people on the left. They would like to keep us in lockdown forever. Now, on a previous episode on this channel, I talked about Galileo. Galileo was censored for producing ideas that challenged the authority of the political power of his time. This idea here was censored for challenging the authority of the political power of our time. Okay. If we were all about the science, we would be okay with this idea. But we're not about the science. We are about power. Okay. And the reason I know that we're about power is because there are some scientific facts that we cannot say. Because if we say these scientific facts, we get censored. I also know that it's not about science because censorship in and of itself is, by definition, anti-science. The second step of the scientific method is ask a question. And that is particularly the reason why people are being censored on social media. So just keep that in mind. I guess this is my show. I'm Stephen Mackey. That's my intro. And please like and subscribe. I have 3 subscribers, I think, maybe 2. And I would like to have a 4th. So please be that 4th. I love you. Earlier this week, it came out that China was testing a nuclear weapons platform. This platform is capable of navigating through our ballistic missile defense grid without any problem. It's something that we can't shoot down. You may or may not be aware, but in the 80s and 90s, we were developing a missile test or a missile grid that could defend our country from intercontinental ballistic missiles. And it was mostly successful. However, I think it had something like 60 to 80% success rate in a controlled test environment. So it's not really that effective when it comes to nuclear war because, it only takes one missile to destroy civilization or our country at the very least. So this doesn't seem to me a very big deal that China has the ability to develop a missile that can invade our nuclear defense system because they most likely had that ability already. However, this missile platform is not just something that we miss 40% of the time or 20% of the time. This is something that we cannot hit. This is something we cannot take down. And it's a pretty astonishing development because we had no idea that they were even developing this missile system. We were hit completely blindsided when this came out. Now, I'm not sure, but what I think happened is we were able to detect some sort of launch, and we didn't know exactly what it was. And so I think this was actually leaked by the United States that said, hey, we saw you had a missile. We know it's kind of crazy in its capability. And we didn't know that you had the ability to do that, but we saw it, so we're releasing this information so the public knows. China is saying that it wasn't a weapons platform, but it was some sort of space vehicle. I think that's the word they use, is a space vehicle, which I don't know why you can't say that a space vehicle is also a weapons platform, because you can put a weapon in a vehicle, can't you? That's the point of excuse me. It's been a long day. But I think that's the point of intercontinental ballistic missiles, is their vehicle for weapon. So I don't really see why that is something that the Chinese wanted to clarify. But the crazy thing is that Jen Psaki, in response to being asked about this, she said, let me see if I can find it. She says, we've been consistent in our approach with China. We welcome stiff competition, but we do not want that competition to veer into conflict, and that is certainly what we convey privately as well. So she's saying we welcome stiff competition when she's talking about the development of a weapon system, which means she and the Biden administration, which she is a spokesperson of, are literally welcoming an arms race as long as the war stays cold. She, by definition, is saying we welcome another Cold War. Stiff competition. That's what we had with the USSR. We had stiff competition with them. What a terrible idea. So, how corrupt is our administration and the presidency right now? They welcome a stiff competition. They welcome a new nuclear arms race. As long as, nukes don't get launched at each other, we welcome the development of nuclear technologies. Okay, this is the concern that people may have expressed. This is probably worst case scenario of what people were thinking when they thought about Joe Biden being compromised by the Chinese. They said, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have deals with the Chinese. They had a $1 billion forgivable loan. That could compromise them. This is the compromise right here. This is welcoming a Cold War, stiff competition. Make no mistake, welcoming stiff competition when it comes to nuclear arms development is a Cold War. So we welcome a Cold War from China. That seems kind of extreme. She says, as long as we do not want that competition to veer into conflict. Okay, right. That's still a Cold War. So how incompetent is the Biden administration? They're so incompetent that 2.5 months after pulling out of Afghanistan, they have no people on the ground, to the point where the Taliban is rewarding suicide bombers' families with cash. So let's say I'm a member of the Taliban. I'm not, but let's say I am, and I got my hand injured at work, and I can no longer pay for my family. I can do a terrorist act that will destroy my life and the lives of many others, and the Taliban will now pay for my family, some bounty for my terrorist activity. What the heck? This is a country that we had control over just months ago. This is a country filled with people so desperate to have us with them, that they were dying while hanging on to the airplanes that we were flying out of their country. This is a country that we left U.S. citizens inside of. In a country where U.S. citizens are refugees and hiding and trying to survive, the Taliban is paying ransoms to families where suicide bombers have done terrorist activity. Absolutely disgusting. This CNBC post, it says or article, it says 85 Americans have left. This is September 21st, so this is old news, but as of September 21st, 85 Americans have left Afghanistan since the U.S. completed its withdrawal. Now, we heard around this time that there was somewhere under 1,000 people that were in Afghanistan. This is the time, I believe, when congressmen and women were flying out to Afghanistan and helping extract different families. So this is a good month ago. But the reason I'm sharing this story is that we had like a minimum of 200 people, American citizens in Afghanistan. 85 of them got out. So right now we have 100 and 115 U.S. citizens minimum in Afghanistan, a country where the Taliban is in charge, where the Taliban are rewarding suicide bombers' families with cash. Okay, how corrupt and incapable is the Biden administration? They welcome civil war, or excuse me, they welcome Cold War with China in a nuclear arms race, and leave Americans to be hunted down by suicide bombers that are paid ransom by the Taliban. Absolutely crazy. Last story I wanted to talk about in our crazy time. Sheriffs say, so in Chicago has been having a bit of a standoff between the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, and the police department. Now, I am no fan of the police department of Chicago. I think they're all unconstitutional actors. That's a term I got from Tim Pool. And I believe that it's true. And the reason I say I believe that it's true that they're unconstitutional actors is they enforce unconstitutional edicts that directly violate the Constitution of the United States. So I have no sympathy for these people. All the stories I hear about them, they're kind of, the crummy. Surely a large part of their police department has some of the worst police officers in the country. The people in Chicago think that they're terrible. People outside of Chicago that look at statistics think that they're terrible people. They're famous for being like very, very interested in protecting fellow police officers over all else, which makes sense in a city as dangerous as Chicago, but still, like they're enforcing unconstitutional edicts. So I have very little patience or maybe not patience, because my opinion doesn't really matter, but I have very little sympathy for these individuals. And there's been a standoff between Lori Lightfoot and these people regarding the COVID vaccination mandate. And the Chicago Police Union says that the mandate violates their contract because they didn't negotiate for it. And Lori Lightfoot says they can't not work because they can't strike. Like I said, it's been a long day. They can't strike because that's against their contract. But I think that the mandate would be against the contract in the first place, the union contract. So I don't know where she gets that information, but obviously she's a politician, so she can say whatever she wants because she has lawyers to back up her will, and you have to protect yourself with some big bucks to go against an illegal order like this, quote unquote illegal. But anyways, the reason I brought this up is the sheriffs of neighboring counties and the same county as Chicago are saying that they won't help subsidize the lack of police officers in Chicago. So that is also something to watch out for in the future. I'll probably talk about this later when it continues to escalate, which it will. It's not going away anywhere. These people are not going to work. With the vaccine mandate, and Lori Lightfoot won't back down because she hasn't backed down the entire time. She's been crazy the whole 2 years. We're coming up on 2 years since the shutdown. We're coming up on that here. We're like almost 18 months, I think. So 2 years since we knew about COVID, almost, and crazy 2 years. Crazy. It's gonna get crazier. But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to share. I don't have the article pulled up, but the last thing I wanted to share was that apparently Southwest, the airline company, just caved to their pilots, and they're not going to do the vaccine mandate, but they'll just have non-vaccinated personnel just use face masks, which I think is a happy medium. If you have religious convictions against COVID or the vaccine, whatever they are, surely you can sacrifice it by wearing a face mask, to keep your job and, listen to your religious convictions. So I think that's a happy medium. But we're starting to see the anti-mandate movement starting to win, and I think that's really hopeful. To give my own opinion, I'm kind of on the right side of that argument. Left and right, I'm on the right side. So if you didn't know, I'm pretty conservative, so I think that's important for you to know if you watch my video. But anyways, thanks so much. This has been actually way longer than I thought it would be, but thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Look, you can be subscriber number 4, and that would be a big deal. All right, catch you next time.